The conference room smelled like expensive leather and broken promises. I sat at the end of the table, hands folded, watching my father-in-law adjust his silk tie. Richard Chin didn't look at me. He hadn't looked at me properly in 3 years. "Sign the papers, Michael," he said. His voice was calm, like he was ordering lunch. "The divorce settlement is generous. $200,000. More than fair for a marketing associate." My wife Sarah sat beside him. Her face was blank, practiced. She wore the diamond necklace I'd saved 6 months to buy her. It caught the light every time she breathed. I stared at the documents. My name, her name, dollar signs that meant I'd walk away from 5 years of marriage with enough money to rent a studio apartment for 2 years if I was careful. "Michael." Richard's tone sharpened. "Don't make this difficult. You signed a prenup. This is a courtesy, not a negotiation." I picked up the pen. My hand didn't shake. That surprised me. Sarah finally spoke. "It's better this way," she said softly. "You'll understand eventually." I looked at her then. Really looked. Her eyes were different. Sad, maybe. Or guilty. Then I signed my name. "Before we continue, I need you to know something. What you're about to hear isn't just about a divorce or a settlement. This is about discovering that your entire life was a lie. That the person sleeping next to you every night was playing a role. That love can be weaponized by people who see you as nothing more than a chess piece. My name is Michael Turner, and I'm about to tell you how I went from signing away my marriage for $200,000 to uncovering a conspiracy that would send a billionaire to prison and change my life forever. If this story grabs you, please hit that like button, drop a comment below with your thoughts, and subscribe so you never miss these stories. Trust me, you'll want to hear how this ends. Now, let me take you back 6 months before that conference room. Back when I still believed in happy endings. 6 months earlier, everything was different. Sarah and I lived in a cramped apartment in Queens. I worked 60-hour weeks at a mid-tier marketing firm. She was finishing her MBA at Columbia. We were happy. At least, I thought we were. Her father hated me from the beginning. Richard Chen built Chen Industries from nothing. Import-export, then manufacturing, then tech. Forbes estimated his worth at $800 million. He wanted Sarah to marry Kevin Zhao, son of another tech billionaire. Instead, she chose me. A middle-class kid from Jersey whose biggest achievement was a college scholarship. "He'll come around," Sarah always said. "He just needs time." Time didn't help. Richard refused to attend our wedding. Didn't speak to Sarah for 8 months. When he finally called, it was to offer me a job at Chen Industries. "I'm doing this for my daughter," he said on the phone. "Not for you. Don't embarrass her." I took the job. Marketing associate. $65,000 a year. It was less than I made before, but Sarah begged me. "It's a peace offering, Michael. Please. For us." So I swallowed my pride and became Richard Chen's employee. The divorce happened fast. Sarah moved back to her father's penthouse on the Upper West Side. I stayed in our apartment, sleeping on a mattress surrounded by boxes neither of us wanted. My phone rang constantly. Friends asking what happened. My mother crying, asking if I'd fought hard enough. I had no answers. The $200,000 hit my account exactly 1 week after I signed. I stared at the number on my phone screen. It felt like blood money. I called my older brother Marcus. He worked construction in Boston, had 2 kids and a mortgage he'd been fighting for 10 years. "You okay?" he asked. His voice was rough, concerned. "I don't know what I am," I said honestly. "You need anything? Money? A place to stay?" I almost laughed. Marcus had negative $47 in his checking account last time we talked. He was offering me money. "I'm good," I lied. I'll figure it out. After we hung up, I sat in the dark apartment and tried to remember the exact moment everything broke. 3 months after the divorce, I got called into Richard's office. He sat behind a massive desk, looking at something on his computer. Michael. He didn't look up. We're restructuring the marketing department. Your position is being eliminated. No apology. No severance package beyond 2 weeks' pay. Just elimination. Effective immediately. I asked. End of the month, he said. HR will handle the details. I walked out of Chen Industries for the last time on a rainy Tuesday. Security escorted me to ensure I didn't take any proprietary materials. Like I'd want anything from that place. I sold most of my furniture. Donated the rest. I moved into a studio in Washington Heights, $1,400 a month, walls so thin I could hear my neighbor's alarm clock. I sent out 73 resumes in 2 months. Got 5 interviews. 0 offers. Apparently, getting fired from Chen Industries raised questions. The money was disappearing faster than I expected. Rent, food, subway fare, health insurance. The $200,000 felt infinite at first. Now it felt like sand slipping through my fingers. For months after the divorce, I got an email. No subject line. The sender was an address I didn't recognize. I opened it. Michael, there's something you need to know. Meet me at Café Luca. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Come alone. J. I deleted it immediately. Probably spam. Maybe someone playing games. But it bothered me all night. Who was J? What did they know? The next day, I went to Café Luca. It was a small place in the village, the kind where writers pretended to work on novels while drinking $8 lattes. I sat at a corner table and waited. At 2:07, a woman walked in. Mid-40s, sharp business suit, carrying a leather briefcase. She scanned the room, found me, and walked over. Michael Turner, she asked. Yes. She sat down without asking permission. My name is Jennifer Wu. I'm an attorney. I represent someone who's very interested in your situation. What situation? Your divorce, she said calmly. Specifically, what you don't know about it. Jennifer ordered an espresso. I ordered nothing. My stomach was too tight. Who do you represent? I asked. Someone who prefers to remain anonymous for now, she said. But they have information you need to hear. About Sarah? About Richard Chen. She pulled a folder from her briefcase. Do you know what Chen Industries actually does, Michael? Import-export. Manufacturing. Tech patents. Surface level, yes. She opened the folder. But the real money comes from something else. Shell companies. Offshore accounts. Tax evasion on a massive scale. I stared at the documents. Bank statements, wire transfers, company names I'd never heard of. Why are you showing me this? Because, Jennifer said carefully, your ex-wife is deeply involved, and Richard is about to make her CEO of the entire operation. She'll inherit everything, including the legal liability. My head was spinning. Sarah doesn't know about this. She wouldn't. Wouldn't she? Jennifer's eyes were sharp. Think carefully, Michael. Why did she really divorce you? I had no answer. Jennifer slid a business card across the table. When you're ready to talk, call me. I didn't call Jennifer. Not that day. Not that week. Instead, I did what I should have done months ago. I started digging. Late nights in my studio, I searched everything I could find about Chen Industries. SEC filings. Court documents. Business journals. Most of it was standard corporate stuff. But there were gaps. Subsidiaries that led nowhere. Board members with no online presence. Acquisitions that made no financial sense. I thought about my time working there. The closed-door meetings. The international calls Richard took in Mandarin, switching to English when anyone entered. The way certain files were marked executive access only. I thought about Sarah. How she'd changed in our last year together. More secretive. More distant. Taking calls in the bedroom with the door closed. Had she known? Had she been part of it all along? My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Your brother needs surgery. $15,000. Insurance won't cover it. Thought you should know. Marcus's wife. I called Marcus immediately. He answered on the fifth ring, his voice weak. Hey, Mike. What's going on? Katie texted me about surgery. He sighed. It's nothing. Don't worry about it. Marcus. A long pause. Kidney stones. Bad ones. They need to go in and remove them. Insurance is calling it elective because I'm not dying right now. $15,000 out of pocket. My chest tightened. When? They want to schedule it next month. But we don't have that kind of money. We'll figure something out. I'll cover it, I said immediately. Mike, no. You just went through a divorce. You need that money. I'm sending it today. Mike. You're my brother, I said. You offered to help me when you had nothing. Now I can help you. It's not a discussion. He was quiet for a long moment. Then, voice rough, thank you. I hung up and transferred $15,000 to his account. I watched my balance drop. $142,000 left. I called Jennifer the next morning. I want to know everything, I said. She invited me to her office. It was a small practice in Midtown, nothing fancy. She laid out documents across a conference table. Richard Chen has been moving money offshore for 12 years, she said. Cayman Islands. Singapore. Switzerland. The total is somewhere around $200 million. I couldn't process that number. That's illegal. Extremely. Tax evasion. Wire fraud. Money laundering. If the IRS knew, he'd be looking at 20 years federal prison. Why hasn't anyone reported it? Because he's careful. And powerful. People who cross Richard Chen tend to have unfortunate accidents. Lost jobs. Destroyed reputations. One journalist who was investigating him had his career ended over a fabricated plagiarism scandal. I felt cold. What does this have to do with me? Sarah is being positioned to take over. The paperwork is already filed. In 6 months, she becomes CEO. Richard retires. Everything transfers to her name. Including the legal exposure, I said slowly. Exactly. Jennifer leaned forward. Here's what I think happened, Michael. Richard needed Sarah married to someone controllable. Someone who wouldn't ask questions. You were perfect. Young, grateful for the job, desperate to please. My throat was tight. Then why divorce me? Jennifer pulled out another document. Because you were too honest. Richard couldn't trust you long-term. So he engineered the divorce, paid you enough to feel grateful, and removed you from the picture before the transfer. That doesn't make sense. Sarah loved me. Did she? Jennifer's voice was gentle but firm. Or did she love what you represented? Safety. Distance from her father's world. A normal life she could pretend to want. I thought about our marriage. The way Sarah never let me see her father's financial statements. The way she discouraged me from asking questions about the company. The way she'd said, it's better this way. You'll understand eventually. Jennifer continued. There's something else. Your prenup. Did you read it carefully? My lawyer did. Did your lawyer notice clause 17? The one that says if the marriage ends within 5 years, you forfeit any claim to assets acquired during the marriage, including stock options and bonuses? I hadn't received any stock options. I never got. You did. They were deposited into an account under your name. $2.3 million worth, vested over 5 years. The divorce happened at 4 years and 11 months. 1 month before they fully vested. I couldn't breathe. They stole $2.3 million from me. Legally, no. The prenup was clear. But morally? Yes. And here's the important part. Those stocks are still in an account with your name on it. Just frozen until the divorce is finalized and transferred to Sarah. Can I fight it? Normally, no. But. Jennifer smiled slightly. If we could prove the divorce was fraudulent, obtained under false pretenses, the prenup might be invalidated. How do we prove that? We need evidence that Richard and Sarah planned this. Emails. Texts. Recorded conversations. Something that shows intent to defraud. I thought about my apartment. The boxes I'd never unpacked. Sarah's things she'd left behind, claiming she'd pick them up later but never did. I might have something, I said slowly. What? Sarah left her old laptop. She said it was broken, not worth fixing. But what if it's not broken? What if there's something on it she didn't want me to find? Jennifer's eyes lit up. Get it to me. Today. The laptop was buried in a box marked trash. I'd almost thrown it out twice. The screen was cracked, but when I plugged it in, it powered on. I brought it to Jennifer's office. She had a tech specialist waiting, a young guy named David who looked like he lived in hoodies and energy drinks. Password protected, David said after 2 minutes. But the encryption is old. Give me an hour. 43 minutes later, he looked up. I'm in. Jennifer and I crowded around the screen. David opened the email application. Hundreds of messages loaded. Most were junk. Some were school-related. Then David filtered by sender, Richard Chen. 12 emails appeared. All marked, confidential. Jennifer opened the first one. Dated 3 years ago, 1 month after I started working at Chen Industries. Sarah, I've reconsidered the situation. Michael is acceptable as a temporary arrangement. But understand this is business. When the time comes, you'll do what's necessary. The second email, 2 years ago, the prenup is perfect. My lawyers confirmed the stock clause will protect everything. He'll never know what he signed away. The third email, 18 months ago, begin emotional distance. Gradually. Make him think it's natural. When we're ready, the divorce will seem inevitable. I felt sick. There were more. Detailed instructions on how Sarah should behave. When to pick fights. When to be cold. How to make me feel like the marriage was failing because of me. The final email was dated 1 week before Sarah asked for the divorce. Tomorrow. Be brave. Remember, this protects both of us. Michael will be fine. Men like him always are. Jennifer was already on her phone, calling someone. I need you here now. Bring recording equipment and a notary. I couldn't stop reading the emails. Every intimate moment I'd treasured, every conversation I'd replayed searching for what went wrong. It was all manufactured. Scripted. Sarah hadn't fallen out of love with me. She'd never loved me at all. I was a role she played for 4 years and 11 months. Michael. Jennifer's voice cut through my thoughts. I need you to focus. This is enough to invalidate the prenup. But if we're going to do this right, we need to go bigger. How much bigger? We report Richard to the IRS. The SEC. The FBI. We burn it all down. But you need to understand what that means. Sarah goes down too. I looked at the laptop screen. At the woman who'd whispered, "I love you," while planning my destruction. "Do it," I said. Jennifer made calls. Federal investigators were surprisingly interested in $200 million in tax evasion. Especially when handed a silver platter of evidence. "They'll need you to testify," Jennifer said. "Grand jury, probably a trial. It won't be easy." "I don't care. There's something else." She pulled out another folder. "Richard owns your apartment building. Through a shell company, but he owns it. He's been subsidizing your rent, keeping it artificially low. Why would he do that? Control. If you're comfortable, you won't dig. You'll take your $200,000 and disappear quietly. He's been watching you, Michael. Probably has someone reporting on you." I thought about my super, the friendly older man who always asked how I was doing. Who knew my schedule? Who had keys to my apartment? "I need to move," I said. "Already arranged. I have a safe apartment. Fully furnished. Paid for 6 months. You'll move tonight." That evening, I packed one suitcase. Left everything else. Jennifer sent 2 people to help me. We were out in 30 minutes. The new apartment was in Brooklyn. Small, clean, anonymous. I slept on an unfamiliar bed and dreamed of Sarah's face. The federal investigation moved faster than I expected. Agents raided Chen Industries at 6 a.m. on a Thursday. They walked out with boxes of documents, hard drives, and Richard Chen in handcuffs. The news broke by noon. Every major outlet covered it. Tech mogul arrested in massive tax fraud scheme. Sarah's photo appeared in half the articles. My phone exploded. Old friends. Former co-workers. Reporters who somehow got my number. I ignored them all except one. Marcus. Holy hell, Mike. I'm watching the news. Is this about Sarah? Yeah. Are you okay? I surprised myself by laughing. I don't know. Ask me in 6 months. The surgery went well, Marcus said. Katie wanted me to tell you. I'm recovering at home. Doctor says everything looks good. I'm glad. Mike, I know this is heavy, but whatever happens, you got family. You need anything at all, you call me. After we hung up, I sat in the quiet apartment and felt something strange. Not happiness, not relief. Something closer to purpose. Sarah was arrested 3 days later. The FBI had enough evidence to charge her with conspiracy to commit tax fraud and money laundering. Her bail was set at $5 million. Richard posted it immediately. Of course he did. Jennifer called me that evening. The trial date is set. 6 months from now. Are you ready? What happens to the stocks? The $2.3 million. They're frozen as part of the investigation. But once the prenup is invalidated, they're yours. Plus, you can sue for fraud. Emotional damages. I'm estimating between $8 and $12 million total. The number meant nothing to me. I don't want their money. Michael, you earned those stocks. You worked for that company. You were manipulated and used. Taking what's yours isn't greed. It's justice. Maybe she was right. I didn't know anymore. There's a board meeting tomorrow, Jennifer continued. Chen Industries. They're voting on new leadership. You're invited. Why would I be invited? Because you're technically still a shareholder. Those frozen stocks give you voting rights. And I think you should attend. I don't want to see Sarah. You won't have to speak to her. Just be there. Let them see you. Let them know you're not gone. I agreed. I had no idea what I was walking into. The board meeting was held at Chen Industries headquarters. I'd been there dozens of times, but it felt different now. Colder. Hostile. Security tried to stop me at the entrance. Jennifer showed them documents. They let us through, reluctantly. The boardroom was massive. 20 chairs around a table that could seat 40. 12 people were already there. Executives I recognized. Lawyers I didn't. Sarah sat at the far end. She looked thinner. Older. When she saw me, something flickered in her eyes. Fear, maybe. Richard wasn't there. Still in custody, awaiting trial. The chairman, an older man named Douglas Hartwell, called the meeting to order. He barely glanced at me. "We're here to discuss leadership transition," he said. "Given recent events, the board feels it's prudent to delay Sarah Chen's appointment as CEO pending legal resolution." Sarah's lawyer stood. "My client has not been convicted of any crime. This delay is premature and—" "Your client is under federal indictment," Douglas interrupted. "This company cannot afford the publicity of a CEO in legal jeopardy." Sarah finally spoke. Her voice was quiet. "I understand the board's concerns. But I want to say something." She looked directly at me. "Michael." Sarah's voice cracked. "I know you hate me. I know what I did was unforgivable. But I need you to understand something. I didn't have a choice. I said nothing. Jennifer had coached me. Don't react. Don't engage. My father controlled everything," Sarah continued. "My education. My career. My relationships. When I met you, for the first time, I felt free. I fell in love with you, Michael. That was real." Tears rolled down her face. I wondered if they were real too. But my father made it clear. Either I ended it his way, or he'd destroy you. He showed me what he did to others who crossed him. I was protecting you. Douglas cleared his throat. "Miss Chen, this is inappropriate." "No." Sarah stood up. "He deserves to know. I played my part because I thought it would keep you safe. I thought if I hurt you enough to make you leave, you'd be free of him. I never wanted the stocks. I never wanted any of this." I finally spoke. My voice was steady. "You're lying." Sarah flinched. "I read the emails," I said. "Every single one. You and Richard planned this for years. Don't insult me with a performance." Sarah's face crumbled. She sat down heavily. Her lawyer whispered something to her, but she shook her head. Douglas spoke again. "Given the circumstances, the board moves to suspend Sarah Chen's appointment indefinitely." All in favor? Every hand went up except Sarah's lawyer. Motion passes. This meeting is adjourned. People filed out quickly. No one wanted to be near the scandal. Jennifer and I stayed seated. Sarah approached slowly. Her lawyer tried to stop her, but she pulled away. "Michael, please. 5 minutes. Just talk to me." Jennifer started to object, but I held up a hand. "It's fine." Jennifer left reluctantly. Sarah and I were alone in the massive room. She sat 2 chairs away. Close enough to talk, far enough to feel the distance. "I know you won't believe me," she said. "But I did love you. The first year, maybe the first 2 years, that was real. I fought my father so hard to be with you." "Then what changed?" I asked. "He got sick." I blinked. "What?" 3 years ago. Stage 3 cancer. The doctors gave him 5 years, maybe less. Suddenly, everything was urgent. The company. The succession. His legacy. Sarah wiped her eyes. "He said if I didn't do exactly what he wanted, he'd write me out of everything. Leave it all to charity. I'd get nothing. And worse, he'd make sure you never worked in marketing again. He has friends everywhere, Michael. He could have destroyed your career with one phone call. So you destroyed our marriage instead. I thought it was the lesser evil. I thought if I played along, got the company, I could protect you from a distance. Make sure you were okay. I laughed bitterly. By firing me? By taking the stocks I earned? That was him, not me. I begged him not to fire you, but he said you were a liability. Too honest. Too curious. I stood up. You had choices, Sarah. Every step of the way. You chose your father's money over me. You're right. Her voice was barely a whisper. I did. And I'll regret it for the rest of my life. I walked toward the door. Michael, wait. I stopped but didn't turn around. When this is over, Sarah said, when the trials are done and the appeals are finished, I'm leaving. The company, the money, all of it. I'm walking away. Good for you, I said, and left. 6 months later, the trial began. Federal court, downtown Manhattan. The prosecution had everything. Documents, emails, witness testimony. Richard's defense team was expensive and aggressive, but they were drowning. I testified on day 4. The prosecutor asked me about my marriage, my job, the divorce. I answered every question honestly. Richard's lawyer cross-examined me for 3 hours. Tried to paint me as a disgruntled ex-husband seeking revenge. I stayed calm. Mr. Turner, isn't it true you're only cooperating because you want your wife's money? Ex-wife, I corrected. And no, I'm cooperating because what they did was wrong. The trial lasted 7 weeks. The jury deliberated for 4 days. Guilty on all counts. Richard Chen was sentenced to 18 years in federal prison. Sarah, who cooperated with prosecutors and testified against her father, received 3 years probation and a $10 million fine. The stocks were unfrozen. The prenup was invalidated. My lawyer filed a civil suit for fraud and emotional damages. We settled out of court. $9.2 million, paid by the Chen family estate. I gave $2 million to Marcus. Paid off his mortgage, set up college funds for his kids. He cried on the phone. I donated $3 million to a scholarship fund for first-generation college students. The rest I invested. Lived modestly. Went back to school for an MBA. 2 years after the trial, I was working at a tech startup in San Francisco. Director of marketing. Good salary, better people. I'd rebuilt my life from scratch. My phone rang one afternoon. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Hello? Michael. It's Sarah. I hadn't heard her voice in 2 years. It sounded different. Tired. Older. How did you get this number? I'm not supposed to call you. My lawyer would kill me. But I needed to tell you something. I waited. My father died yesterday. Heart attack. He was in prison. I'm sorry, I said automatically. Don't be. He was a monster. You were right about everything. She paused. I'm calling because his will was read today. He left me nothing. Everything goes to charity. He wrote me a letter. She laughed, but it wasn't happy. He said I was weak. That I betrayed the family by testifying. That I deserved nothing. Sarah. I'm not calling for sympathy, I'm calling to say thank you. That surprised me. For what? For showing me what it looks like to have integrity. You lost everything and still did the right thing. I had everything and threw it away for nothing. I'm working at a nonprofit now, Sarah continued. Helping women escape financial abuse. It doesn't pay much, but it's real. It's honest. I didn't know what to say. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, she said. I'm not asking for it. I just wanted you to know I'm trying to be better. Trying to be someone worthy of the man I married. I hope you find that, I said carefully. Me too. A pause. Are you happy, Michael? I thought about my life. The startup. My small apartment with a view of the bay. The friends I'd made. The therapy I'd finally started. I'm getting there, I said. Good. That's good. Her voice was soft. I'll let you go. Take care of yourself, Michael. You too, Sarah. She hung up. I stared at my phone for a long time. Later that evening, I called Marcus. We talked for an hour about nothing important. His kids' soccer games. His new truck. The barbecue he was planning for the 4th of July. You sound good, Mike, he said. I feel good. Proud of you, little brother. After we hung up, I walked to the window. The sun was setting over the city, painting everything gold. 3 years after the trial, I got married again. Her name was Rachel. She was a software engineer, funny and kind and completely uninterested in wealth or status. We met at a coffee shop. She spilled her latte on my laptop. I laughed instead of getting angry. She offered to buy me a new one. I said dinner would be fine. On our first date, I told her everything. The divorce, the trial, the money. I wanted no secrets. That's a lot, she said when I finished. I know. If it's too much, I understand. Too much. She smiled. Michael, everyone has baggage. Yours just happens to be more dramatic than most. Doesn't change who you are now. We were married in a small ceremony. Marcus was my best man. Rachel's sister was her maid of honor. 40 people total. No drama. No performance. Just joy. I thought about Sarah sometimes. Wondered if she was okay. If she'd found whatever she was looking for. But mostly, I thought about the future. About the life Rachel and I were building. About the startup going public next year. About maybe having kids someday. The past couldn't be changed. But it didn't have to define me either. 5 years after signing those divorce papers, I sat in a similar conference room. But this time, I was the one at the head of the table. The startup had gone public. My shares were worth $40 million. The board wanted me to become COO. This is a big decision, the CEO said. Take your time. Think about it. I thought about the kid from Jersey who'd married above his station. Who'd been used and discarded. Who'd lost everything and somehow found himself anyway. I thought about Richard Chen in his prison cell, dying alone and bitter. I thought about Sarah, rebuilding a life from ruins. I thought about Marcus and his family, thriving because I'd been able to help. I don't need time, I said. I'm in. The room erupted in applause. Handshakes. Congratulations. That evening, I called Marcus. The board made me COO, I said. Holy shit, Mike. That's amazing. I'm flying you and Katie out here. First class. You need to see this office. He laughed. Your big fancy office? No. The view. You can see the whole city. It's beautiful. I'm proud of you, little brother. I couldn't have done it without you, I said. You were there when I had nothing. When nobody else was. That's what family does. After we hung up, I stood at the window, looking out at San Francisco. Somewhere across the country, Sarah was building her own quiet life. Somewhere in a federal cemetery, Richard Chen was buried with no mourners. And here I was. Not because of them. Not in spite of them. Just here. Living. Growing. Free. The silence had stretched long enough. Now it was time to speak. If you made it this far, thank you for staying with my story. Have you ever had to fight for what was rightfully yours? Have you ever discovered that someone you trusted was working against you, plotting in the shadows? Drop your story in the comments. I read every single one, and your experiences matter. And if this resonated with you, if you've ever felt erased by the people closest to you, please share this with someone who needs to hear it. Remember, you are not too emotional. You are not a burden. You are not weak for trusting. You are worthy of respect, honesty, and complete control over your own life. Until next time, stay strong and trust your instincts. They're usually right, even when people try to convince you otherwise.